Jake, a delivery man, has set his sights on winning the approval of his boss to date his daughter. However, when presented with a chance to demonstrate his worth, Jake fails to anticipate the grave danger that awaits him, risking his life in the process. Jake approached his third delivery stop of the day with unwavering determination. His goal was to showcase his reliability and efficiency as a deliveryman to Osmond, his boss, and win his approval to pursue a relationship with Margot, Osmond's daughter. "I'm making good time," he said as he stopped at the curb. "Now, I just need to keep this up." Jake went round to the back to fetch the packages he needed to deliver. He reached for the first box and froze. A strange, whimpering cry was coming from his cargo. A chill ran down Jake's spine as he scanned the various boxes and crates stacked in the truck. A soft scrape, like claws, drew Jake's attention to a particular crate. Sometimes people illegally ship live animals, but usually those were small critters. This box was big enough to hold a medium dog or a far more dangerous creature. Jake took a deep breath and kicked the side of the crate. The immediate response was so horrifying that Jake leaped from the truck and drove to the nearest police station. It took a few minutes of convincing before two police officers agreed to check out the cargo in Jake's truck. They followed him out into the parking lot. "You say this crate screamed at you?" Officer Lopes asked as Jake opened the truck. "Whatever is inside the crate screamed at me," Jake replied. "It sounded like a person." Once the doors were open, Officer Lopes had no trouble identifying the crate that had caused Jake so much worry. It was jerking and wobbling as though it was alive. Lopez tapped the side of the container with a crowbar. "Let me out of here," a squeaky voice called out from inside the crate. Lopez immediately set to work opening the crate. "Hang on, kid, I'll get you out in a minute." Jake stared in amazement at the skinny boy that climbed out of the box. His clothes were raggedy and a few sizes too small. There were dirty marks on the boy's face and knees. "Who are you, and why were you in that crate?" Officer Lopes asked. The boy looked at the police officer fearfully. "I didn't do anything wrong. I had to hide in that crate or the bad men would have hurt me." "What bad men?" Jake asked. "The bad men in the warehouse where the packages are stored." The boy stepped toward Jake, but Officer Lopes grabbed his arm. "Not so fast, kid." Lopes looked sternly at the child. "Bad men. I want to hear more about this, starting with what you were doing in that warehouse." "I was there because..." The kid trailed off and looked away. "You were stealing, weren't you?" "You'd best tell us how to contact your parents because you're in a lot of trouble," Lopes said as she guided the boy out of the truck. "I don't have any parents, and I wasn't stealing." The boy struggled in Lopez's grip. "I was there because I saw two men loading up a car and knew they were up to no good. I wanted to protect the warehouse, so I went inside to investigate." "A likely story. Tell us the truth and we'll go easy on you. Otherwise, you're looking at juvenile detention or community service, kid." "I am telling the truth." The boy looked pleadingly at Jake. "Please, mister, you have to believe me. I was trying to help, and I still can because I saw what those thieves look like." Officer Lopes led the child into the police station, and Jake followed in confusion. He was unsure of what to make of the situation, especially since Osmond had accused him of being a thief at the warehouse just 2 weeks prior. Jake had been invited to dinner by Margot to help ease the tension between him and Osmond, but the evening had been far from comfortable. Instead, Osmond had spent the night giving Jake skeptical glances and discussing the rats plaguing his business. Mighty big rats that are walking off with thousands of dollars worth of packages. Clearly, an inside job too. Osmond had fixed him with a fierce glare. "I've been in this business long enough to know where to start looking when the rats start scratching." Surely one child couldn't be responsible for stealing so much. There wasn't enough muscle on the boy's arms to carry anything heavy. Jake hurried to catch up to Lopez and the kid. "Wait a minute," Jake said. He crouched down beside the boy. "Tell me everything you saw." The police refused to let Jake speak to the boy, Simon, until after they questioned him. He waited an hour before they led him to a room where Simon was waiting. "I'll tell you everything," Simon said, "but you have to promise to help me. They want to call child services, but I must return home to Granny. She needs me."
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
"I thought you didn't have family," Jake replied. "I have Granny, She's looked after me all these years, but now she's very old and her pension doesn't cover all our needs." Simon hung his head. "That's why I was at the warehouse. I stole groceries from there sometimes." "So you lied to me. You are the thief." "No, I did take a few things in the past, but this guy pulled up with a car. He and another man packed the trunk and back seat full of packages. One of them works there. I know exactly who it is." Simon told Jake the car had pulled up to the back loading bay, which only had dummy security cameras. The security guard let the driver in. Simon was watching them load the car with packages when he knocked against one of the shelves, and it tipped over. The security guard came looking for him, so Simon hid inside one of the fallen boxes. He'd intended to escape in the morning, but had fallen asleep. He'd only woken up when his hiding spot was loaded into Jake's truck. "I believe you," Jake said, "but I don't think the police or my boss will want to investigate this further, so I'll look into it myself." That night, Jake didn't go home after work. Instead, he found a corner of the warehouse to hide in, where he had a clear view of the back loading bay. "I'll prove to Osmond that I'm not the thief," he whispered as he settled down to wait. "Then he'll have to accept my relationship with Margot." Hours passed. Jake was falling asleep when the loading bay door started lifting. He straightened up, and all of his courage drained away at what he saw. Either Simon had lied, or the size of the operation had grown overnight. A panel van was parked in the loading bay, and at least 5 burly men were climbing out the back. "This is too much for me to handle alone." Jake removed his phone from his pocket and dialed 911. As he waited for the police to arrive, Jake cowered in his concealed position and observed the men as they loaded boxes and crates into their vehicle. The men exchanged curt words and recounted their past misdeeds, gleefully joking about the horrors they had inflicted upon those who dared to interfere with their work. Jake was paralyzed with fear and dared not move as the men drew closer to his hiding spot. Just when he thought his capture was imminent, the group's leader announced that they would be departing shortly, as their van was now fully loaded. A wave of relief washed over Jake, but then he realized he couldn't let them leave yet. The police were on their way, but it was up to Jake to ensure the criminals stayed put until they arrived. "I can't believe I'm doing this." Jake activated the video on his phone camera and rushed from his hiding spot. "Nobody moved," Jake shouted. "I've got everything on video. All of you are in a lot of trouble. Your only hope is to put everything back and get out of here." The leader pointed at Jake. "Get him, boys. You know what to do." With the thieves hot on his heels, Jake bolted through the labyrinth of shelves that filled the warehouse. Despite his lack of speed, his familiarity with the warehouse gave him an advantage, allowing him to evade his pursuers. As one of the thieves closed in, Jake leaped through a narrow gap in the shelves, expertly rolling to his feet on the other side and narrowly avoiding being caught. With his heart racing, Jake sprinted in the opposite direction, taking a series of sharp turns to shake off his pursuers. Eventually, he found himself face to face with the gang's leader. "Looks like you're out of luck." The bulky man hit a fist into his open hand as he spoke. "I'm going to smash that phone, and then you're going the same way." Jake's mouth was too dry to speak. The leader grabbed his collar. Jake raised his hands in surrender just as the wail of police sirens reached his ears. The leader threw Jake to the ground and ran for the van. Red and blue lights flashed across his body as he dove behind the wheel. The rest of the thieves raced for the van, but the leader pulled away without them. The next few minutes were chaos. The police swarmed the warehouse while one of the patrol cars peeled off in pursuit of the van. One of the officers helped Jake to his feet while the rest arrested the thieves. Jake's boss arrived then. He was startled to hear that Jake had lain in wait for the thieves and called the police to arrest them. "Thank you." Osmond put his hand on Jake's shoulder. "You saved my business and shown me that you are a brave and resourceful man. It seems that I've misjudged you, Jake. Margot will be lucky to have a man like you in her life." Osmond agreed with Jake that Simon deserved a reward for his assistance in exposing the criminals. He also agreed with the idea Jake proposed to thank Simon. The next day, Jake contacted the police and discovered child services had taken Simon to a shelter. He fetched the boy there and took him home. "You and your grandmother will never have to worry again," Jake told him. "My boss is so grateful to you for helping identify the thieves that he's agreed to pay you a big reward. Additionally, he's given me the task of delivering a food parcel to you each month." Simon was overjoyed with the news, and Jake was pleased to witness his steady improvement each month when delivering the food parcel. However, this was just the start of Jake's journey, as Osmond began entrusting him with additional logistics tasks in addition to his delivery duties. Within a year, Jake had worked his way up to become a manager at the delivery company, earning Osmond's unwavering trust and admiration. Proud of his achievement, Jake decided to commemorate his promotion by purchasing an engagement ring for Margot.